Welcome to Carl Brick 73 Live, and this is a special edition, fan. As promised, I have Allan Toorean here on set with me. We're going to talk about politics, growing up, some spiritual stuff, man. Also, we have footages of him playing the drums, right? Playing the drums with Miley Cyrus' brother, and some great pictures by him, man, and a little bit of rock history. Stay tuned. Welcome to Carl Brick 73 Live, and as promised, my friend Allan Toorean, drummer, right? Rock legend, also a friend of Carl Dunn as well. Allan, tell the fans a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Thank you for having me here today, Carl.
You're welcome.
I grew up in New Orleans, started playing drums when I was about 15. First band I was in was the Blue Shadows.
Okay.
Then I had a band called Dark Horse, ended up selling the name to the Beatle, George Harrison. Then I was in a band named A-Train, and I've had a lot of other bands I've played with over the years. The last notable video I did, I played on the Tame Impala video in January of 2020. Anyhow, I've been in LA for about 10 years. My daughter, Emily's in the music business. She has a band called Pinky Pinky that she tours with in Europe and in the United States. And I'm involved with Carl Dunn, who is one of the legendary photographers from the 60s. He's got, the man's 73 years old. He's got 24,000 rolls of film from Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, The Doors, Pink Floyd, The Who, David Bowie, Jeff Beck,
Wow.
You name it. Anyhow, it's been a great experience living in LA. I don't get to play as much as I used to.
Right.
But, LA is so different than the South and New Orleans. And there's so many brilliant, wonderful people here that are creative. And it has been a great epiphany to me to come here, even though sometimes, the traffic. And
Man, I'm glad. I'm actually glad you came, because it's an affirmation to my change and my transition, as far as I serve no demographic, right? And collectively as human beings, right? Because people, we have discussion, conversation. I did a show called Awkward Conversations, and a lot of people who weren't intellectual, or if they were indoctrinated, they kind of lashed out because they didn't understand the direction I was going with that message. And the direction I was going with that message is white and black. Let's just take white and black, for instance. It's just an adjective. It's just an adjective, right?
Yeah, right.
It's a way you describe something. So to say, all right, this is Allan Toorean, the drummer, that's just an adjective. But in essence, Allan is an actual human being. He's a being. I'm a human being, which makes us brothers, right?
Absolutely.
Right? Collectively.
And none of us
Right.
get to choose.
Right.
Whether we're male, female, who our parents are, what color we are, what culture. And I had one of the great blessings in my life growing up in the South, where there was, in the 60s, a big racial divide. I got to meet Jimi Hendrix, and Jimi Hendrix said, the world will be a great place when the love of power is replaced by the love of people. And it was a life-changing experience to see a man like that, because you realized at some level that I couldn't even as a kid understand. He was evolved to where he understood what mattered in life, and the joy and the awe that he brought to people I mean, it's hard to believe. 2 hours, you go and hear someone in a concert, and it changes your life and your whole trajectory. And I just think life is a fantastic experience, and so many of us are taught things that are very negative and very bad.
Right. Now I want to ask you a question, Allan, not to cut you off, because what you have to say is very important, especially to my fans down here in the backwoods of South Central, some of them youngsters. This is just showing them how we can merge together collectively and start networking, for a greater cause as well. One of the things I wanted to ask you is you have a lot of experience with music. What was the first time you ever picked up a drumstick, man? Like, can you remember how old you were?
I was about 9 or 10 years old,
Right.
And I used to listen to Wilson Pickett, which was one of my heroes, and I actually got to see James Brown. And you see people that have that kind of joy inside of them,
right?
And it just changes you. I mean, all I can say is, an instant can change your whole life, right, if you let it.
Now, looking at you, and when I met you, I shook your hand, and I seen a very spiritual, humble man, right? But man, that footage you sent me, them drums, you turn into something. So is it like a alter ego when you get up there, or what is it? Because like sitting with you right now, I don't see that energy. Like what? And then obviously you got a little age on you, right? You're mature.
Yeah,
So you've sent some footages of you playing at this age, and man, Tommy Lee, you better watch out, man. Tommy was Tommy, he was a bad man. I seen him on a roller coaster, right? And but you impressed me. I was actually impressed.
Well, thank you. I mean, part of it was when I was a kid, my brother went to prison.
Right.
Got caught with 1 ounce of marijuana, 5 years in Angola.
Oh yeah.
One of the worst.
Y'all had the most zips too. Like
and there was some anger that I had, and music was a way. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. Music was a way to get women.
Right. Okay. That's how you was a player, like they do down there in the backwoods.
Yeah. Music was a way to stay in shape, and you look out and you see people happy when you're playing. So that was a great motivation, and that's just the path I took, because the other path was to be angry and pissed off the rest of my life because of what happened to my brother. Bad things.
And now see, looking at Allan Toorean, knowing he, drummer, his demeanor, you would never think he'd have a zip of marijuana, right? But it just goes to show how we have so much in common. Like how, even though we grew up in two geographical different areas, the elements are generally the same, right? The growth process is what I'm trying to convey.
Well, I don't think that a white person can ever fully understand some of the things that black people go through and have gone through in this country. A small taste of it in the early 60s, when I was 15, 16 years old and had long hair. We'd go play in a club, and you'd be in the bathroom, and some guy would come in there and grab you by the hair and call you names and slam you up against the wall.
Right.
People would make fun of you and ask, are you a man or a woman? And just that feeling of being not wanted and not loved when you went in a place. And then I felt like, wow, now I understand in some cultures the way they have not been appreciated.
Wow.
Because to me, the greatest musicians that the United States have ever had, 90% of them have been black men and women. I mean, to this day, I listen to Ray Charles and it makes me cry.
Yeah, what's your favorite song, Georgia?
Well, I like Georgia, and I like America.
Yeah.
And Singing My Song.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I see that, and I did shake inside.
Oh yeah, it cut right into you.
And to think that man was blind.
Yeah.
And he can make everybody in a place feel nothing but love.
Yeah.
And
now, you got a fan out there, man. Hey, Zach, you seen that show I did called Not Black Enough with me and the other guy.
Yeah,
His name
yeah.
is Zach.
Yeah.
Well, Zach wanted to do a duo interview with you as promised. However, Zach, you at work today, man. I got work to do. You feel me? I couldn't wait, right? So I'm gonna be very apologetic to you. I see you tomorrow, boy. Be ready to film. However, yeah, as you can see, Zach. All right, we'll do the duo. We'll set it up because I plan to do a part 2 to this show because not only did I want to project his craft, right? It's not about the material aspect of him, but more of the spiritual aspect, the truths that you share, and you're a very humble individual, man. And you told me earlier we had a conversation about like the different foods that you like, right?
Yeah.
And you like that old Southern food like me, huh?
Oh, yeah. That's the greatest food in the world.
Tell the fans. I want you to tell the fans some of the foods.
Crawfish etouffee, crawfish bisque, shrimp jambalaya, gumbo. My ex-wife was from the Cajun country, and we used to go down there, and the first thing you get there, within 5 minutes, someone come in with 2 big ice chests with oysters, shrimp, crab, and you're sitting there going, this stuff probably not so good for me, but it's so good I can't stop, you know.
Right.
And her grandfather was a jambalaya king when he was young. The little guy named Atanas Peron, that was about 5'2", and he could cook this stuff up, and you'd eat it, and your eyes just roll back in your head.
Oh wow, man, that's huge. Now here's the thing. I'm a bit of a cook myself, right? And do you like gumbo?
Oh, of course.
Okay, now I love gumbo. However, I grew up on it. My mom, and my grandfather. My grandfather was actually from Arkansas, so I picked a few traits up from them, right?
Yeah.
And every year I make gumbo. So my wife and I, we're gonna get you your own personal bowl. Gordon has a bowl. Shout out Big Ice. Big Ice, he has a bowl. And so our personal friends, what we do, we invite them once a year. I do it, but it's just, I have a secret that I do. I do use gumbo filet, which comes from the sassafras leaf, right? I would love to just have some fresh sassafras leaf. That's just too much process. So I go get the gumbo filet. However, growing up, my mom, and I was a bit of a nerd growing up, right? And so I would watch sci-fi a lot. And the Blob, the movie The Blob.
Yeah.
Right. That Mom, I'm sorry. That okra, it reminded me too much of The Blob or some kind of weird slime or something. So what I did was I found a way to thicken my gumbo, right? I won't give y'all the recipe now. I want Zataran. Look up Zataran, got my recipe. However, I use a roux. I build a roux, and then that's where the thickness within mines come from. But it's if you ever talk to Gordon or anybody that had my gumbo, they'll tell you I'm the truth. So with that said, let's talk about your daughter. Your daughter is also a musician as well.
Yeah.
And she's played with who did you say she played with?
Oh, she did. Was in Paris Jackson, Michael Jackson's daughter, in her video about 4 months ago. It was funny. My oldest daughter was really good friends with Michael Jackson's wife.
Okay.
And she plays with a band out of New York called Drinker, and a band here in LA called Pinky Pinky. It's an all-girl band. They do all original material. And they're rock and rollers, you know.
Right. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. And I'll be looking forward to one day maybe interviewing her in the future.
But she would love that.
Sure. And that's huge. She played with Paris Jackson. I'm like, wow, you know. I appreciate you coming out today and showing the support for me and believing in me. And we actually met through Carl Dunn, who's very incredible. Shout out, Carl. How you doing, man? Don't be back there overfeeding the chickens now. I know you're I already know you're in the back messing with your animals, man. Give me a call, man. We love you. This is huge for me, man. And what more can I say? Politics. How do you, presidential, how do you project that within your life when you, as a voter or whatever the case is?
I stay as far away from it as I can because my father was a major in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
When he was about ready to die, he was telling me all the things that happened in his life in World War II. And I just looked at it, you know, governments cause the most pain, death, destruction of any group of people in the world, and they spend their time turning us against each other.
Okay.
And like I said, nobody gets to choose who they are. You know, all of us, God doesn't make junk. All of us come into this world, and maybe we have a different color paint job, but we're still human beings, and we can do so much more together than apart. But it seems like that every time you turn around, somebody is starting a war somewhere, or this and that and the other. And I believe the United States was incredibly blessed, and we've squandered a lot of that. We haven't really loved one another as we should, and a lot of that is what our government does. I mean, our main export is weapons. And what does that tell about a culture? You know?
Wow. That's huge. And this is why I wanted to have you on the show, because the conversations that you and I shared before this event. And this right here is called Morphing into Immortality. And I have some Jeet Kune Do, like Bruce Lee. I came up with a science of what I mean by immortality, immortal. A mere human can be immortal through reprojection and reflection. Let me show you. Something greater than yourself. Some call it Jah, some call it Allah, some call it God, right? Something greater than yourself, right? To attributes, to reproject the attributes, right? And that means not being human, because sometimes human nature can be rather cruel, right? We can be rather cruel as human beings. And so just to be unselfish and ungreedy and supportive and validating, you have to reproject something greater than yourself. And when you can do that, that means you're morphing into immortality. And today, Allan Toorean and I have just morphed into immortality. I'll do another segment with him. This is my brother and friend now. And as you all know, it's about that time. This has been another segment of Carl Brick 73 Live, featuring my drummer friend, Allan Toorean. We're going to have more shows, more projects. He's supportive, right? He is my friend, and you're going to eat some of that old gumbo.
I'm
With that said,
back for the gumbo.
I hope you guys enjoyed this show.